morning to me, and I am so grateful for your love and for your care. In fact, I am very grateful for your support. And now it's time for us to delve into today's exciting episode of Press Drive. Joining me in the studio is Barrister Folusholakbo, who will be here pretty soon. And yes, this is the voice of your sumptuous Marvelous SOBALOJU OYEDELE. And together this morning, we will be discussing the latest trends, news and current events that matters to you. So buckle up, stay tuned, and let's get this conversation started already. It's going to be a fantastic show, and I am honored to share it all with you. Thanks again for your love and support, and let's make today's press drive an unforgettable one. As you already know, today is the 18th day in the month of March 2025, and we're starting the headlines from the blueprint. And from the front page of the blueprint, we have these headlines: NSIB, aero contractors sign MOU on global aviation safety standards. That's on page 21. The Ziani challenges EFCC's forfeiture orders, wants seized properties returned. You can check that from the blueprint as well on page 6. And in business, Nigerians' exports to Niger Republic soar to 77.12% in 2024. That's on page 20. And in sport, on World Cup qualifiers, Super Eagles hit the gym in Rwanda. Super Eagles hits the gym in Rwanda. That's on page 32. And RVSG raises the alarm as impeachment stirs Fubara deputy in the face. House lists 18-point offenses against the duo. And a future gloomy coming from Commissioner. All of that from the Blueprint newspaper. And Dangote to build 6 MTA cement plant in Ogun State, which is going to be the largest seaport in the state. You can check the blueprint for that, for details of that too. And Nigerians' inflation drops to 23.18%. Debt service declines to $276 million. You can check the blueprint for that as well. And SEC to publish names of capital markets violators. That's on page 21. Wike revokes 4,794 land titles in FCT. That's on page 6. NNPC champions effective utilization of host community funds in Niger Delta. That's on page 20. Beneficiaries of subsidies ganged up against Tinubu at inception. That's coming from Bamidele. That's on page 6 of the blueprint. And away from the blueprint and now to the Guardian. From the Guardian, we have the headlines on the front page. Disassociate from El-Rufai's deceptive politics. Southern Alliance wants Obi and Atiku. That's on page 3 of the Guardian. Threat to arrest Natasha, anti-democratic. CUPP warns. That's on page 5. EFCC docks Chinese, Nigerian for alleged 3.4 billion naira cybercrime. Economic sabotage. That's also on page 29 of the Guardian. Eyes on Rivers CJ as impeachment plot thickens against Fubara and deputy. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Lingering court order, litigations, trail shells $2.4 billion divestment. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And Nigerian Brazil $1.1 billion green project power to prosecute electoral offenses. Court rules. Alright, AGF lacks power to prosecute electoral offenses. court rules. That's on page 29 of The Guardian. And debt servicing fell from $540 million to $276 million, says CBN. That's on page 3 of The Guardian. I think that's a very significant decline. And Nigerian inflation sustains downward trend, slow to 23.2%. Nigerian's inflation sustains downward trend, slows to 23.2%. That's on page 15 of The Guardian. And the last one from The Guardian newspaper this morning, Jandor returns to APC as PDP describes exit, welcome relief. That's on page 7 of The Guardian newspaper. Away from The Guardian, we have now moved to the Nigerian Tribune. And from the Tribune front page, we have these headlines. Nigerian's inflation rate fell to 23.3% in February, coming from NBS, and that's on page 6. FCT minister revokes 4,794 land titles over non-payment of ground rent for over 40 years. 4,794 land titles over non-payment of ground rent for over 40 years. That's on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. A Rivers Assembly lists 19 sins, in quotes, sins of Fubara. Accuses him, his deputy, of gross misconduct. Moves for their impeachment. Fubara says lawmakers frustrating his efforts to implement Supreme Court judgment. What Constitution says about removing a governor? You get to check all of that from the Nigerian Tribune. You can check page 15 for that story. Order EFCC to retrieve my seized assets from buyers. Ex-Minister Desiani begs court. Order EFCC to retrieve my seized assets from buyers. Ex-Minister Desiani begs court. Well, it's the audacity for me this morning, but I think that we should talk about it when Barrister comes around. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Oyo Ogbomoso Road, contractors move to site. Okay, that's a very positive one, and that's on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Protest rocks Abuja over relocation of Benue Tribunal. Okay, protest rocks Abuja over relocation of Benue Tribunal. And we have a right on that one. CSO's petition CJN and NJC. You can check page 17 of the Nigerian Tribune for details. And yes, Tinubu appoints Bishop Kuka pro-chancellor. Wow, okay. President Tinubu appoints Bishop Kuka pro-chancellor. That's on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. And Dangote begins construction of Itori cement plant to build largest port at Olokola. Don't mind me. In Ogun State, basically, construction approvals for alleged demolished structures. I'm also reprising. Definitely. That's on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And now to the Punch. Yes, from the Punch newspaper, we have these headlines. Wike revokes 4,700 ground rent. I'll take that again. Wike revokes 4,794 FCT land titles over 6.9 billion naira ground rent. That's on page 22 of the Punch. More headlines on the front page of the Punch. SGF distance self from AIDS 10 billion naira fraud probe. SGF distance himself from AIDS 10 billion naira fraud probe. That's on page 7. On page 2 of the same paper, anti-Tinubu coalition, APC, others attack El-Rufai, Atiku as plot thickens. Right, APC, others attack El-Rufai and Atiku as plot thickens. That's on page 2. And this is on Niger fuel crisis. Custom marketers differ as 400 border filling station short on a J fuel crisis. Customs marketers differ as 400 border filling station short. That's on page 23 of the Punch paper. And this is on impeachment move. Tension in Rivers as Assembly serves for Barra misconduct notice. Impeachment move, tension in Rivers as Assembly serves for Barra misconduct notice. And Tatita threatens tighten security and lawmakers list 19 infractions against Governor Amechi's camp. Kicks. Okay, I'll take that headline again. On impeachment move, tension in Rivers as Assembly serves for Barra misconduct notice. Tatita tightens security. Lawmakers list 19 infraction against the governor, and Amechi's camp kicks. You can check all of that on page 2 of on page 7. And on military attacks, electricity workers discos blame federal government, threatened strike. That's on page 24. And Copper who criticized Tinubu under pressure to apologize coming from activists. And that's on page 30. 4 feared killed in Ogun cult clashes. That's on page 5. Lagos PDP attacks Jendor over return to APC. That's on page 19 of the Punch paper. And the last paper I'll be checking for this morning, this is the Daily Trusts. On the front page of the Daily Trust, we have these headlines: Rivers Assembly notice of misconduct not addressed for Fubara coming from government. And that's on page 10 of the Daily Trust. And many injured, houses burnt as crisis erupts in Plateau community. That's also on page 6 of the Daily Trust. Showore, lawyers accompany core members summoned for criticizing Tinubu. Alright, that's on page 7 of the Daily Trust. RFI accuses Uber Sony of siphoning local government funds to UK and South Africa. Says no local government receives 50 million naira per month. Provide evidence. Sheo Sony challenges ex-governor. All of that on page 3 and by extension page 11 of the Daily Trust. Motorists pass night at CNG stations over inadequate dispensing point. Experts urges expansion of filling centers. Government has no input in it. Coming from Presidential Committee. All of that on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. These are the headlines making the rounds from our dailies this morning. Now it's time for us to go into details of some of them. Don't forget we're live on Facebook. On Facebook is at I-FLIER 103.3 FM live at letter I-FLIER FLIER 103.3 FM live LIVE. Yes, you can drop your comments, help like and share this particular content to as many friends of yours as possible. Thank you very much as you do that. With me in the house is Barrister Folushola. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sweetheart. You're welcome back. And the hairstyle, welcome.
Right.
So good morning, everyone. It is well, it is good. Thank God for another day. We've seen this day. Let's continue to rejoice and be glad in it. And let us do that which we wanted to do yesterday. That one that we postponed, that we're going to do it today. Today is the tomorrow you think of yesterday. So that tomorrow don't come. And let's all put our hand on the deck and be successful in this land. Good morning this morning.
All right, welcome back. So good morning to you all once again. All right, there's a whole lot to talk about this morning. All right, so this is Rivers Assembly files notice of impeachment against Fubara. Deputy Governor alleges gross misconduct. The political crisis in Rivers State has assumed a new dimension as members of the State House of Assembly commence process for the impeachment of the governor Siminalayi Fubara. The Assembly on Monday filed a notice of impeachment against embattled Governor Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odo. The letter, which was dated Friday, March 14, 2025, was released Monday morning, March 17, 2025. The letter addressed to the Speaker, Martins Amawule, titled Notice of Allegations of Gross Misconduct brought pursuant to Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended 1999, was signed by 26 members of the House. The letter accused the governor of gross misconduct in the performance of the functions of the office of the governor. A separate letter was directed to the deputy. The letter accused the governor of spending public funds contrary to Section 1, alright, and many other things that they said, but because of time we might not be able to take all of it. But it will be recalled that Governor Fubara had rewritten to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly notifying the lawmakers of his intention to present the 2025 appropriation bill. In a letter dated March 13, 2025, and addressed to the Speaker, Martin Samawole, the governor stated that he would present the budget to the Assembly on Wednesday, March 19, which is supposed to be tomorrow, at 11 a.m. or any other convenient date from them. According to the letter, the governor said he was complying with both the order of the Supreme Court and the request of the State House of Assembly when he came to present the 2025 budget on March 12, 2025, but was locked out at the gate and denied entry into the premises. All right, so this is two different things now. All right, the governor is saying that he is trying to follow the Supreme Court order and that he's been frustrated by the State House of Assembly, and this is also the State Assembly accusing him of gross misconduct. As they are sending letter to him, they're also sending it to the deputy. So if they are going to be impeached, they're impeached together. You know, we know that usually when a governor is impeached, it's usually the deputy that will probably come in as the governor, but this time they're serving both of them the notice for impeachment. What do you make of all of this? Because eyes is now on the CJ. Yeah,
The House wrote DSS to investigate him
exactly.
on age forgery. Okay, let's say as it pans out in Rivers, one, they were not, I'm not sure, they were not even, taking private appropriation. It was 2024 that they really.
I guess I will have to hold you on that, please. All right, so sorry for that. So Barrister, you have the floor now.
Yes, as I was saying, the it's chief judge too, it appears to be having issues with the Rivers Assembly too. If you could remember, the House wrote the DSS to investigate him on age forgery. So I think that is still on. And two, mostly I read the offenses, alleged to have been committed by Mr. Governor.
About 19 or 18 of them.
And which majorly focused on the 2024 appropriation bill, because according to them, and according to them, they stated that Mr. Governor refused to obey a high court decision, which said Mr. or which road that Mr. Governor cannot, successfully present budget to 3 members of the assembly. that was void, and I should go and present it to the real or to the other assembly, majority of the assembly, the 27, and he refused. He signed that and was, just spending it. I said it on this platform some time ago that a governor do not have the right, the power to spend state money without appropriation. And since the court said there was no appropriation, that is it. Because when he presented to 3 members of the house, and the house, and the court voided that decision, then it's like there has never been a budget at all. So, and he, notwithstanding the judgment, Mr. Governor continued even and throughout 2024, spent state money in that instance without appropriation. And the second thing they dealt with is the demolition of their house, of the House of Assembly. That, to me, I think that is too extreme. Because we do not want people to impeach you. That was the reason then, because according to him, he heard from the grapevine that the house might impeach him, and of course he didn't want that, so he took a bulldozer there. First the place was bombed, and so he has to clear everything. So now, but in all this, what concerns me most is the people of Rivers. There's this saying that if you want to dine with the devil, you must have a long spoon.
Yes,
and
sir.
I continue to ask, why should you want to dine with the devil? Because the devil is a spirit. So his hand is in fact, it's longer than any spoon you can get. So it is better not to dine with any devil at all than to dine with it. As like what my dean usually say in those days. He said, if you try to ride a tiger, you could find yourself in its tummy. So, and I think that is what Mr. Governor did. He rode on a tiger and suddenly found himself in the tummy of that tiger. So when Mr. Wike was paying his nomination fee, paying everything, and almost for every one of them, so nobody saw anything then. Nobody said anything then. They were frolicking together, enjoying, pumping champagne and everything, to the detriment of the Rivers people. Nobody said anything, and suddenly people begin to take side. No, I don't think people should take side. In fact, people should mourn for Rivers people, because it's not they, whether whatever, they're still going to get their monies, their salaries, their emoluments, that are not getting good governance that we should weep for. So, of course, the impeachment, something has started, and according to that section 188 that they quoted, the Mr. Governor has, one, the impeachment notice must be supported by 1/3. This one is more than 1/3. There are 26 out of, I think there are 30 members in the House. So 26 out of 30, that is 20, remaining just 4 people. Then, secondly, Mr. Governor has 2 weeks to respond. And whether he responds or not, after 14 days, the House have to, sit again to decide whether the impeachment mode should continue. And if it is supported by, in this instance now, 2/3 majority. So if 2/3 supported it, then they have to send it to Mr. the CJ. The CJ will now set a panel, and they have 3 months to do that, for the panel to report back to the House. And if the panel said no, that he has not committed an offense, that is the end of it. There's nothing they can do. But if the panel said, okay, he has committed these offenses, so you can go ahead with whatever you want to do, then they have to sit again, and 2/3 majority support. And the way things are going, I think 2/3 majority is
Already, yes.
it's already on ground.
It's already
So
on ground.
I just pitied
Fubara.
Fubara. I pitied him. a lot, because one is not really a politician, it's a technocrat. And being a technocrat, he doesn't know how to play the game, unfortunately. And people that are surrounding him, to me, to some extent,
they're not helping matters.
Yes, they are not helping matters. It's like begging and grandstanding at the same time. You cannot be slightly pregnant. It's either you are pregnant
or you are
or
not.
you are not. So, but unfortunately, what we have is that, but for Wiki or let me not say Wiki, for the house and Fubara, of course, and unfortunately, things are not going well. Let's see what will pan out at the end of the day, because there are still allegations and counter allegations.
Of course, I know, but okay, we'll see how it goes. Yes, let's move away from that and let's quickly talk about this one. Threats to arrest Natasha Anti-Democratic, CUPP warns. Coalition of United Political Parties has described recent claims by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of a plot to arrest her as a dangerous development for Nigeria's democracy, saying it raised fundamental questions about the integrity of the nation's democratic experience. The National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Parties, Peter Ame, in a statement yesterday noted that of course will raise fundamental questions about the integrity of the nation's democratic experience. Do you also agree with that?
You see, we said it on this platform. We are like prophet nowadays. We said if Senate does not handle this thing well, that it might end up consuming it.
Exactly.
And especially the Senate president. And the way they are going by it, it appears they may end up being consumed at the end of the day. You are talking about a member of the House and having issues, at least that is what we were told, having issues with you about your rules. Then you send the person packing
for 6 months.
For 6 months, stop his salary and entitlement and all that, and he raised a pertinent question. People usually ask me these days that why didn't she talk to do anything whenever she wanted to do it?
She might choose not to say anything at first,
and now that
it's becoming threatening.
Yes,
to definitely voice out.
It's a weapon. So for him to fight back,
of course,
and I
she's
think
a politician too.
Yes, and I think that's what she's doing. But arrests for what? For going to IPU, Interparliamentary Union? Yeah, she has that right as a member of House, because even that organization, give members privilege to address it in matters regarding gender suppression, regarding important things that are happening even in their own country. So if that is the case, then to that extent, I think they should, the National Assembly should try, at least try, if they cannot do anything, to just stop this,
well, they would not be able to rule on the matter until they've heard from the other party. Something that the National Assembly should have also done, and would not have actually gone to the IPU to start with.
I think they were too in hurry to punish her than
they just wanted her out already. That's what it looked like.
So that is it, and that is why it feels so strange that there's something behind this thing. It's not just any Joko Sibi or Joko Sibi that is causing all this. So if it is, then why should you be all that, just refuse to deliberate or, take a rational decision? You are just, to me, I think they are so emotional about this. And if they are, there must be a reason behind that.
There must be. Okay, so we look out for how the whole thing would eventually unfold. Let's move away from Natasha and talk about Daisy Hani. Daisy Hani is Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to retrieve seized assets from their current buyers. The former minister specifically requested that the court direct the anti-graft agency to recover the seized properties from the individuals or entities to whom they were sold. Alison Madwike made this request through an amended application filed on her behalf by a lawyer, Chief Mike Ozekome, SAN, before Justice Ian Eko. She sought an order to set aside the EFCC's public notice, which served as the basis for the public auction of her assets. She further asked the court to declare the public auction conducted by the EFCC as a violation of the statutory provision providing the EFCC Act of 20. Okay.
So if it is, then I don't see why, because it would have, the process is that there will be interim forfeiture.
Okay.
That's the first one. There will be interim forfeiture. Then the person will be invited to the court to come and state why those assets should not be forfeited permanently. And if the person come and failed, or if the person refused to come, the court will now have to sit again, and the AFCC have to convince the court that these assets were fraudulently acquired by the proceeds, by federal government monies or state money or whatever. And if the court is convinced, then to that extent the court will now pronounce the permanent forfeiture of those items, and the permanent forfeiture of those items has been done. So probably maybe she came or she didn't come. I think I forgot it.
Shiwore said on Monday that the youth corps member Oshi Ugumaye, who criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration over hardship, is under tremendous pressure to apologize. Shiwore, who accompanied the corps members to the NYSC local government inspector office in Lagos alongside a team of lawyers, said government officials, including ministers, had been reaching out to pressure Ugumaye to apologize. Speaking on a popular television show on Monday night, Shiwore insisted that the corps member committed no crime by exercising her freedom of expression in criticizing Tinubu's administration. In a now viral TikTok video, a Lagos-based corps member, Ugumaye, on Saturday criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration, expressing frustration over Nigerians' worsening economic conditions, lamenting the high inflation and economic hardship. And when they got there, they said they went into hiding, they ran away. So I just want your reaction on that very quickly as we take calls.
Okay, well, thank God. That's that is, I don't know. Well, there are several issues that were raised that you said that you talked about. One is the fact that whether as a worker,
are you supposed to speak about your employer in a bad light?
Okay. Then secondly, whether or not as you have a right,
freedom of expression, as they put it.
Yeah.
Is that freedom of expression?
Of course it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. Every Nigerian has the right to criticize their government.
What happens to hate speech?
That's not hate speech.
It's not.
No.
It depends on how we view it.
No, that's not hate speech.
So to normal masses, that's not hate speech.
No, it's not even normal masses. It's not hate speech.
Okay.
Because what is anyway, we cannot define what
hate speech is. That's what I'm saying.
But of course, it's not hate speech.
Okay.
It's criticizing government. Okay, so me she just said all those things without saying the terrible part of it. Then probably she may not lip lickers or whatever they call them. So, but of course, she has a right. Now, somebody raised the question that NYSC is a paramilitary organization. Of course it is.
It is.
And to that extent, according to their bylaws, it's not our again. I've done that years ago. According to their bylaws, the corpers are not expected to criticize government. In fact, they were supposed to be at the side of government in all things.
Okay, it's part of the bylaw.
Yeah.
I didn't read that, but moving on.
When did you?
Don't do that. Really.
It's in the bylaw that we should support government, or corpers should support government at all times. Any lawyer of your choice. So if you think somebody is, or that you are not safe where you are going to, especially when it has to deal with the interpretation of the law, I think the best person to bring along is a lawyer. And if I don't know why they have to run. To me, they should stay and tell her what she did wrong, and probably demand or request that
for an apology.
Yeah, this is what we wanted you to do. Of course, you might have done it out of emotion, but at least you are now a copper. You are now a grown-up person. You are no longer under your parents. So I think sometimes officials too should have a way of talking to their subordinates, so that you don't just come with stick at all times, carrot and stick method. There are sometimes you have to use the carrot.
This one is 5,000 by the year. People cannot sustain it at all. Even that 7,000, can use this to purchase a smartphone nowadays. So the top member, and in terms of cost of living, in terms of transition, in terms of transition, and a lot of that. So the Mr. President today about the terrible leader, I think that statement is too much, but in the condition of frustration, you can see it. That's my observation.
All right, thank you very much, Sulaiman Sharif. And he added on the Facebook page, he said regarding the River State crisis between the governor and pro-Wike lawmakers, there is fire in the mountain, like Asha's lyrics. Mr. President and ex-governor Wike should stop filling the crisis with petrol underneath and appear innocent in front pages of the paper. Motiwite Miu. Thank you very much, Sulaiman Sharif. And I think that's the same way the president had to intervene in the Lagos crisis. You know,
Lagos crisis is not over yet.
It's not over yet. But at least he intervened. We've not heard the president say anything about it.
He intervened in this tonight. He said, I should go and obey the law.
Boy, is okay. Let's move away from that. Let's take more calls. 0705 500 1033. All right. Hello. Hello. Good morning to you, Mariam.
Yes, this is Miriam. I'm calling from OYEDELE.
You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sweetheart, how are you this morning?
Sir.
Yes, sweetheart, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, sir. Yes, sir. The crisis in River State is really getting out of control. And it even affected the people who are enjoying the administration of the incumbent governor. I think the leaders and the state in this case. Good morning.
All right. Thank you very much, Mariam. Hello. Yes, good morning.
Okay, yeah. The government place. They should not separate the message from the messenger and work on what shall said, but spend more to other and do away with all this propaganda of the thing. But that's the major problem. All the Lord do is telling lies and propaganda, and that is not anything at all.
Okay, sorry, Tolu. I can barely hear you actually, but let's continue with what you said on the Facebook page. You said, of the truth, the federal government must stop victimizing people that are criticizing them, because constructive criticism is part of democracy and it's a tool to bring the government to their toes in doing the needful. And people wouldn't have been talking about from every angle if the government hasn't failed in its responsibility, and as such, let the federal government show more serious approach to governance and do away with propaganda, because that's the major problem of President Tinubu's led administration. Well, I think Sheyi Tinubu begged to differ, because just yesterday was bragging about how his father, the president, is the best president in the world, or that Nigeria has ever had. Okay? We have this one from Gabriel Olayemi Abiodun Oyetunde. It says, is this the face of true democracy, especially with respect to what's happening in River State? I said it before. To me, this is purely demonstration of craziness, born out of selfishness.
My people, me and you no get electricity wahala again. Oh, OIC Solar don't make and day easy kulele. With this new kind of bonga easy life solar product, we then just carry land with the multi for Ibadan. With this them powerful solar kits, we dey for different sizes, original power stations like a 200 watts, 300 watts, 600 watts. With the inverter embedded solar kit, we get 6 brighter bulbs, an attractive solar radio within charging point. Una fit take a charge your phones, correct solar freezer, different lithium batteries, tabular batteries, portable Android projector, different solar inverters, electric motorbike, we sharp as we dey sell, we dey install, and also we dey repair power solar system and components. OIC, na the Obonga confirm accredited distributor for all the companies them where they produce original solar products from Obodo Yibo them, big companies, churches, mosque, event center, everybody. Wakago OIC Solar Company today for Shop C4, NTA Shopping Complex, Agodi Gate, Ibadan. Now so then they for Samsung Shopping Complex, Ekulodi Junction, New Ife Road, Ibadan. Website www.oicsolar.com. oicsolar.net. For Instagram plus TikTok, OIC Solar 1. Tulu 08105020388. Better light don't come.
Hello, good morning. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen.
I want to speak. Good morning this morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you today, sir?
I want to speak about this governor that is Caterpillar. This crisis is going far. Then to see what is going on in this river because
his helper. Meanwhile, loyalty is the key to any political success. This shows that they don't have the public interest at heart. They are only fighting for their selfish interests. And Oluwaseun Ruth says, I just wonder if we can really get it right in this country under the APC administration, because they keep giving us hope on newspapers. Imagine, inflation rate has dropped to 23.3%. and things are yet to relieve us from the hardship we are experiencing. It will be a better thing if they can consider us by finding solutions to the rising inflation. May God deliver us from this administration. And Roots Communication says, I'm not always surprised hearing our politicians defecting from one place to another, but it's high Nigeria because they are the only one that can say the truth raw the way they see it. Okay, thank you very much, Kolawole. And Toluwalashe Adetola says Nigerian politicians are only cross-carpeting for their selfish political agenda. The case of Jandor, El-Rufai, and others rings a bell. Our constitution needs to be reviewed in order to reduce the rate at which politicians are cross-carpeting. And Olawumi Oparinde says, good morning. Thank you very much. I think I've read everybody's messages. I think so. All right. As for now, I can see Pastor Dr. Famuyiwa replying. I think Evangelist Shalata will, but for some reasons, I just can't view the comment.